My name is Kaaden, and I'm very happy to have Tina Lee here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure, and I think we are all very looking forward to ask you some questions about your new book. I will just start with the first question. So you're really specialized in the communication between China and the West. How did it happen that you became an intercultural trainer?
All right. So I firstly came to Europe to study around 20 years ago. So like many international students, I suffered from culture shock and also lost my orientation at the beginning. And then after graduation, I started to work in the banking industry in Europe. So I've witnessed and also experienced the business failure caused by culture differences, so such as the loss of talent and negotiation breakdown. Yeah. So currently I'm teaching intercultural competence at German universities, and also I offer trainings and consulting services to the organizations which have business contact with China.
So also trainings, that sounds really interesting. Of course, sometimes there was also some kind of problems with this communication because like China and the West, there's a big difference. So, but maybe we will talk about that later.
That'd be great.
So, Tina, you wrote the book. We already mentioned that. It's Decoding Chinese Business Culture, East and West, the Hidden Dilemmas of Working with China. So I'll have a look at the back. It's a marvelous introduction to the Chinese business world. Tianwa Li has an almost uncanny gift for putting the Chinese mindset into the highly readable text. That sounds great.
Thanks for reading that. I'm very happy to hear it again.
You're very welcome. Can you tell us a bit more about the book?
Yes, definitely. So this book focuses on culturally conditioned patterns and behaviors of Chinese people, and Western managers like you from various fields and from different countries as well will learn the culture differences between China and the West in a very systematic way, such as areas on leadership, teamworking, conflict resolution. And just as you mentioned, this book is devoid of business jargon and with lots of real cases and insightful analysis.
That sounds great. So do you really think it's a book for everybody, so everybody can understand, or do I need something like a basic, or do you think it's just everybody will understand how to talk to China?
Yes, I think this book is for everybody who are interested in Chinese culture, not just business culture, but in general, China as a country.
All right. Okay, that sounds great. I will try. Tina, I wanted to order your book online, and I did put in your name, Tina Lee, and then I realized that the author is Tianwa Li.
Okay, you just called me a frog.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
No worries, I'm sure you didn't do that on purpose.
No, definitely not.
Yes, so try again. Tianwa.
Tianwa.
Much better. So that's my Chinese name.
She's a good trainer.
Thank you. So Tianwa means a doll from the sky.
Much better.
Yes. And then, like I mentioned, I came to study to Europe to study many years ago, and then people around me started to call me a toad or frog from the field, which is Tianwa. And then for many Western years, these two words may sound identical, right?
Yes, they do. They do, definitely.
Yes. And then, as you know, Chinese people love the names. And I just couldn't bear myself being associated with toad or frog all the time. And
I can understand.
I changed my name to Tina.
But it's pretty close, so I think that's okay. That's easier for the West, so thank you.
Definitely. So that's why I always suggest the Westerners who is doing business in China to have a Chinese name.
Yes. You told us that there are some real life cases described in your book. And I have a question. I came across some problems with Chinese business people when I asked them a question and they say yes, but somehow I can feel they mean no, but they would never tell me.
Oh, that is a very good question. I've also written something about it in my book, so
cool.
perhaps can share this with you.
Yes,
here.
please.
Yes. I'm sure you've heard 面子 this concept, right?
Yes,
Means
the
face. That's right. Yes. So this is a very important concept in Chinese culture. So yes means yes, no, maybe, or I'm listening. Depends on context. I know it's a bit complicated, but yes. So yeah. This is the classical culture misunderstanding between high and low context cultures. For Chinese business people, for example, it would be very difficult, often means no, it's impossible, without using direct refusal words. So you are Germans, perhaps you can tell me when you say it would be very difficult. What does that mean?
Yes, I think it would mean like difficult would be more like a challenge. So there is a hurdle you need to overcome. So it means it's not a yes, it's also not a no, it's in the middle, like there's a chance.
Mhm.
Because normally the Europeans, if they mean no, they just say no.
You're right, that's also the main difference between high and low context cultures.
E-commerce developed quite fast in China. Do you think there's opportunity for foreign companies, or are there any challenges or maybe even difficulties?
I'm sure you've heard about Tianwa or Taobao from Alibaba.
Yes.
That's right. So those kind of online platforms indeed provide a lot of good business opportunities for foreign companies, especially small or medium companies. But there are some firms, they underestimate the complexity of Chinese market and then also misjudge Chinese consumer behavior.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you have an example?
Let me think about it. There is a well-established German drugstore, so they entered to China market officially in 2017. So that means before that, the Chinese consumer, they had to pay for a private agent to buy the product from Germany and ship back to China. So the products were very expensive. And then after the official entry in 2017, the Chinese consumers, they only need to pay less for the same products, but they just changed to other brands.
Honestly, I would be happy if I had to pay less.
Yes, the company also thought it's a win-win situation, but then they conduct research, of course, so they found out actually the products were not expensive anymore for Chinese white collars.
Okay, maybe we have that in Germany with cars.
Possibly.
Maybe. I have been to China and I'm very interested in Chinese culture, and I really often hear the term guanxi, and I think it means network. But in Germany or in Europe, networking is also very important. So what's so special about guanxi?
You're right. Creating a wide social network brings a lot of benefits. It doesn't matter in Germany or in China. But guanxi is a little bit different. So it's a belief system in Chinese culture, and it serves as a very powerful social currency. And then it's different from network because of the reciprocal relationship and also mutual obligations it creates.
Sounds a bit abstract. Do you have a personal example you could share with us?
Let me think about it. Oh, yes. So normally Chinese people, they distinguish people around them into in-group and outer-group. Members in the in-group, they exchange valuable information constantly, and then there's a well-established trust. So 2 years ago, my mom rang me and then she asked me to host a relative in Germany. So then I found out this person whom I've never met before is my mother's cousin's brother's sister's daughter, something like that.
Who is it?
Good question. Who is it? But then she belongs to the in group.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But then we had a week together,
Right.
and we had a great time. So yeah,
That's nice. That's really nice. Okay, that's a good example for personal story. Do you also can share a business case with us?
Yes. So around 2 years ago, so I accompanied a group of German delegates to China to meet their potential Chinese partners to talk about the feasibility of a certain project. So, and then on the evening we invited for dinner. Out of surprise, we also met a few new faces. Actually, they have nothing to do with the corporation. I think one is from the local police station, yes, and another's, I think, an accountant from a local tax office. So, and then we were very surprised. And then later, the German delegates realized that it's a very common practice for Chinese people to introduce their guests to the in-group. And but it doesn't happen all the time. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that it might happen when you're in China.
Okay,
Yes.
understood. Gina, is there a list of do's and don'ts for China?
I wish I could give you one, but I can't. Yes, because such a list can be very misleading. There are lots of uncertainties. And then every individual is also different.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, however, the national culture is very powerful. So we always say that respect needs some understandings, and my role is to introduce culture, Chinese culture in this case, and also to bridge this misunderstanding across cultures.
When do you think should people book such a training? Whom is it made for?
Well, actually, it's for people who are interested in communication across cultures. But then I think my training would be extremely useful for the business professionals, organizations who would like to do business in China or who are already doing business in China to have such trainings or consulting services to really to expand their horizon.
Gina, thanks so much for answering all of our questions.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I think there are a lot of more questions, to be honest. But for now, I just have one other question. And it's about my Chinese name. I would love to have one. And as I'm now since 27 years together with my horse, I think it would be nice to have something like she's riding on a horse.
You have a horse? Wow, that's great. So she's riding a horse. That's your name?
Yes.
Okay, then I have to say that is a very unusual name for a Chinese person, but it's your choice.
So, and I'm not Chinese.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm riding a horse in Chinese is 我骑马.
我是马.
Are you a horse? Are you really a horse? Yes. You just said you're a horse.
In principle, it's okay, but I think I would more love to say I'm on a horse.
So then,
could you please tell me again?
Yeah, just try to close your eyes.
Okay.
And then concentrate. 我骑马.
我骑马.
Perfect.
It's a lot about concentration,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's right. Chinese learning can be very entertaining, especially with Anna.
But it's a good idea. So maybe we can follow up with a glass of wine.
That'd be great. Let's go for some Riesling.